Hello, everyone. Tonight is the last meeting of 2025 for the Inventors Roundtable, and we have got Ken Fagan. Is that how you say your last name, Ken?
Yes.
He is a registered patent attorney joining us tonight, so he can answer some of those questions. We've got Stephanie. Stephanie, where are you from, honey?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
Excellent. All righty. And David, I know that you are from the Florida area.
New Smyrna Beach.
Okay. All right. All right. So if we have other people join us, we'll go. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Well, I just started actually. I would start and stop. That's because of life. And then also financially,
Yep.
not being able to afford it. But currently I'm working on three things actually, two apps and one potty training, kind of like reinventing the potty.
Okay.
For
All
children.
right. Yeah.
So yes, but one of the main things I'm working on now is a safety app.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
And what's your background, Stephanie?
Actually, I'm just an independent inventor who saw some issues. One of the safety app basically saw some issues with, people they walk, but they're not paying attention when they're, looking at their phones. And I saw a couple of instances where there were, you can see the accident about to happen. Or, and then also I have a health record app. And that one is because of some issues I'm having with our health system, period. Some issues. So that was one thing I wanted to at least try to help when it comes to doctors and other things like that.
All right. All right. David, go ahead and introduce yourself so that Stephanie and Ken know who you are. I know who you are.
I'm David Leithauser. I'm in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. I'm a freelance inventor. I've had over 100 inventions, most of them software products, at least most of the ones that made me any significant amount of money. Also some electronics devices and some 3D printing, things like that. And I also write books and magazine articles about basically hobbyist level technology, how to build, such and such a little project or something like that.
Excellent. Ken, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
I'm a patent attorney. As Rita mentioned, I've got 33 years of experience. Background is in aerospace engineering. I worked in industry for a couple of years and realized I wasn't cut out to be an engineer. And so I said, okay, let's do what everybody else does. And they don't know what to do with their life. Go to law school. And, it worked out well for me. What I do is I explain it to people. I do qualitative analysis. I don't have to do quantitative analysis. In other words, I just need to be able to understand how things work and be able to explain it. I give a lot of credit to the folks like you all who have an idea and actually go forth with it. I have long believed that the inventors and the entrepreneurs are the people that make the world go around, and the attorneys and the patent folks, we ride along on your coattails. I enjoy, meeting folks such as yourselves and, seeing you all get excited. And I do try to help protect the inventor's IP. My motto is it's the inventor's IP, protect it. It's their money, help them keep it.
So where are you?
I am in the DC area. I'm in Maryland, just outside of the DC Beltway to the north.
Okay. All right. So, it's funny because this is actually the virtual West meeting and everybody is in the Eastern time zone. So, we posted this all over west of the Mississippi tonight, and you guys are the ones that found it and came. So thank you very much because, I hate doing this all by myself.
Huh.
So Stephanie, just so you know a little bit more about me and what I do, I've been working with inventors for 20 years, helping them license their intellectual property. So I learned early on, if I could help them do it better sooner rather than later, we would have something better to license. And, you know, just the reality check of, you know, what is licensing? You know, a lot of people have never heard of it. How do you take advantage of an R&D tax credit? There's a lot of people that still don't know that they can use an R&D tax credit and how to use that when they start making money. I get inventors on the radio. I take inventors to trade shows and help them negotiate those licensing deals. So,
Oh, wow.
that's kind of, you know, what I've been doing. And then, like I said, I'm always looking for, you know, the guests to be on the radio. And, you know, since I get to pick, and David had been asking about that earlier on, he said, you know, I thought you were going to call me to be on the radio. It's like, oh yeah, I was, and I will. So,
Okay.
you know, I know that there are 52 Mondays coming up in 2026, David. You can count on it.
Yeah, okay, like I said, I'm not in any hurry. I just wanted to make sure you hadn't sent me an invitation that I missed.
No, I've got your number, honey. I would be calling you. And part of it is because I'm looking, you know, when I pick the topic, sometimes I pick the inventors and I pick the topic around the inventors. And then other times I pick the topics and then it's like, okay, who's going to fill that, you know, that spot, because it's kind of an odd duck topic. And so I want to get you on for one of those social media, because you know how to do a lot of that social media stuff.
Okay.
So a video, you know how to do a lot of the video stuff. So I'll get you on for that, because it's amazing how many inventors have no clue.
Okay.
I know, because you were at a meeting that I asked about it and you were the one giving all the advice.
I mean, I know how to do Facebook, and I know how to market things by the web. But things like, for example, these sites that sell the 3D printer files, where you design something and then you just put the file up, and the people, you know, they're not buying a physical product, they're buying the file that will let them put that in their 3D printer and create the thing that you've designed. Well,
maybe we do a show that talks about, you know, how to use 3D printers and what the value is.
Yeah, of course, you know, these days a lot of people are doing the prototyping on 3D printers.
I know, it's a lot cheaper to do that.
That's how I originally got into it, although I've probably made more things for my own use, for like home repair, you know, than I have, you know, actually made prototypes.
All right. Well, what I'll do is I will send you, I've got the topics down for about the next 8 weeks, and I'll send you the list and you can pick the one you want.
Okay.
Okay. That'll work. All right, Stephanie, questions that you've got for us tonight.
Well, actually, I came to learn, but one of the biggest issues, I'm not going to say the biggest issue, but one of the questions is when it comes to I'm sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts here.
Well,
when it comes to Chat GPT, is it and I guess maybe it's for Ken. When I'm actually working, I'm looking up information on there, and one of the things, I'm in a group, I'm in the Women's Inventors group, and then also the question has been asked about by going on ChatGPT, that I can actually be exposing my invention to the public. So therefore, it won't be considered, I guess I won't be able to use that invention or set it aside.
I'm aware of the concern where people do well, Chat GPT or Google searches or anything that is a general throw it to the web kind of a search, or prior art search. You know,
yes.
If you were talking about doing a prior art search, are you familiar with the Patent Office search engines?
You know what? I've only used the web. See, I am so new to this that I haven't even invented anything. So I'm just learning by joining groups and just asking questions.
Sure.
But that was one thing I was concerned about because I use it a lot.
Yeah, there is a Patent Office web search for doing prior art searching, but it's sort of a structured kind of a keyword-based searching. But back to your question directly, which is about ChatGPT or other AI interfaces, that is a concern that does get raised frequently. I am not an AI expert by any stretch of the imagination. It is a known concern. There are people that will use AI, ChatGPT, or some of the other platforms to draft their applications. And I'm always a little bit about doing. I mean, I work with inventors who I'm happy to let them do first crack at drafting their own application. When they do it using AI, I'm always a little bit leery. It's a risk. It's a known risk. And there's also, I have yet to see really good work product come from something that was done by an individual doing it themselves using ChatGPT. And that usually ends up taking more time for me to go through it and figure out what they're trying to say and reformat it to make it intelligible before we can submit it. That said, there are a number of platforms, AI platforms, that are being developed that are used within the industry. I don't have my own yet. They're expensive. I have not started working with one yet. I've still got my own hesitations about them. But these platforms, one of the big concerns whenever people do use them, whenever law firms use them, is whether it's putting the information out there into the universe, or whether it's a closed universe, the large language model, whether it's based on closed universe of information. So what you're touching on is, in fact, a legitimate concern.
Mm-hmm.
To your point about you can't use it, there is a concern about, in the patent game, there's always a concern about, have you disclosed publicly before you have filed your patent application? And I think that's what you are touching on.
Yes.
In the United States, we have a year. If I put something out there on the web and said, hey, this is my idea. I said, hey, here's a YouTube video. This is something I came up with. Made it publicly available. I would have a year in which to file my application, and my own disclosure doesn't come back to hurt me. It doesn't act against me to kill my patent rights. Every other country in the world, on the other hand, has what they refer to as absolute novelty requirements, which means if I have disclosed something before I filed my patent application, I lose my ability to file. I give up the rights. I lose my ability to file a patent application on the same subject matter that I disclosed. So the question is here, if I describe something in ChatGPT, and I haven't seen any case law on this yet. It would be actually an interesting issue to see. I haven't seen anything that says, if I use a search engine such as ChatGPT, where it's got known issues, have I publicly disclosed such that I lose rights in Europe or Japan or overseas? Doing it in the United States, I would not be concerned. My biggest concern would be somebody else taking the concept and running with it,
Right.
But if you're simply focused on filing in the United States or protecting your idea in the United States, I would not worry about it as long as you got an application on file pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. As somebody who helps inventors license, I've seen a lot of different strategies and everything. And there was a gentleman a few years ago that said, well, this is how I did it myself. And my attitude is, do you know what, Stephanie, when somebody says I filed pro se, do you know what that means?
No.
All right. It means you did it yourself.
Okay.
Legally, you can't do it yourself. Should you? No, and never.
Okay. Okay.
Pro se, no way.
That's music to my ears.
Yeah. So now when he sent me this, his patent filing, he sent it to me. And I said, okay, let me take a look. I circled the words where he had filled in the blanks. And he goes, how did you know? And I said, because everything else was gobbledygook. And you had a few precise words in there. And if I can figure it out, So can a judge, and you're going to be thrown out.
Mm.
A patent is supposed to be a work of art. Everyone is a unique, like it's a Monet. It's a fine painting that should hang in a museum as a unique piece of art. And so there's a reason why these guys go to school and pay, tons of money to get a degree. And, why they write in this language that it's like, what language is this, or in English that we don't understand. I've gotten better at it, but still there's a reason. There's a reason why. And so when we look at AI as trying to make it palatable for the average person that didn't go to law school, it's not going to be what it's supposed to be. And part of the artistry is the patent office has changed in the last 20 years. I've been doing this 20 years. I have watched it change. And you know what? An examiner sent me back something that, was 2 days prior to their filing, that somebody had gone to a trade show, and 2 days. It wasn't within a year. It was 2 days prior to the filing. And it's like, come on, you got a year from the date of your first disclosure to file, but we had to fight it. And so they're doing different things differently as we go through these process and learn nuances. Their goal is to reject everything. All right. So when we know that they're going to squeeze the geography, so you file something, you write the inventor, one of the problems when they do it pro se is they see it, they write what they see.
Right.
They write exactly what it is. That is the wrong strategy. You're supposed to look, if this is what it is, okay, you're going to ask for this, because they're going to squeeze you down, and your goal is to end up with what you need. But if you don't give them geography to rip off of there and deny, you're going to end up with this much, and you're going to say, wait a minute, I needed more than that. Now it's too late. So part of it is learning and understanding the game that the examiners play.
Yes.
How they're trained. I mean, a game might not be the right word, but they are trained to deny. They're trained to say no. And the more office actions they can force, and penalties now, Ken, I don't know if you've noticed, well, there's a delay for this. And well, on trademarks, now you have to add that. We had one a month ago that demanded new classifications be added. That never used to be the case. If the inventor wanted one classification, that was all they had. She demanded he add 3 more. Well, each one of them cost $350.
Oh wow!
I don't do trademark work. I'm familiar with it, but I when you tell me that, it's like
It was
that makes no sense to me. Trademark?
Yeah.
You're not talking about restriction and dividing like a restriction requirement on the patent side.
No, not the patent. It was a trademark.
That's crazy.
Trademark is crazy. We've seen a lot of restrictions where we never used to see restrictions starting to happen. These restrictions kind of,
slice and dice.
Slice and dice. Exactly. So that's the kind of the point, Stephanie, is that, the strategy of paying for a professional to do it, if you're serious about doing it at all, the first buck stops with the patent attorney. And there are variations of patent attorneys. There are some that are very reasonable, and there's some that just see you as billable time. We want the ones that are reasonable. And
I posted something a week or two ago on one of the Facebook groups about somebody had asked whether you could file a non-provisional application pro se. And there were a bunch of people that jumped on and said, oh yeah, of course, I've done it myself a number of times. Let me show you. And I put up I drafted up something, and I can send it over to you explaining why I generally don't recommend that. And it's not just a self-interested piece of advice. As I put it, there should be like a Miranda-esque warning for drafting a patent application. Anything during the application itself and the subsequent give and take with the patent office, what we refer to as prosecution. Anything you say or do during prosecution can and will be used against you by your competitor if you go to enforce your patent. The big thing during patent enforcement is what we refer to as claim interpretation. By the way, are you familiar with what I'm talking about when I refer to the patent claims?
Yes.
Okay. Interpretation is, what does this mean? What is this? Rita referred earlier to what is this language? Well, the claims are where we get into some very formalistic, or it should be real English language. And if it's drafted cleanly, it might be hard to understand it first time you read through it, but you should understand what it's talking about and have some idea in the back of your mind as to what it's trying to explain or convey or describe. But you still need to go through this process of interpreting the claims and figuring out what are the bounds of the claim, what is covered by the patent. And things that people say, like the invention is, if you've come up with a specific way of doing something, we as patent attorneys, we refer to claimed invention or inventive concept. It's the big picture. What is the problem that has been solved? Whereas most inventors think in terms of this little thing that I came up with is the invention. We refer to that as an embodiment of the invention, an embodiment of the inventive concept. In other words, concept that exists here in the mind, how you have reduced it to something physical. Yeah. So but if the inventor refers to the invention is this, when it goes to time to enforce the patent, the claims might be construed to cover just this. Or worse, sometimes the claims will be direct. Did we lose Stephanie? Are you still there?
Let's see if she comes back on. She might have just bumped something and we lost her.
So we kept losing our video, and just for a few seconds or something. So maybe bumping things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So David, you have filed some of your own work.
I have written a few provisional patents. The reason for that mostly is that I would like be sending off to some place to license it, and they'll ask what is the status of the patenting level, and one of the things will be provisional patent. And I figure for $60 I can say I've done this, and that helps me get in the door for I don't say that I wrote the patent myself, but at least it gets them to look at it because I said, okay, I've got a provisional patent.
Where has that led?
So far, the things that I have submitted have not been accepted, but I think it's been on those grounds. It's just been, they've looked at it for a few months and said, it sent me the routine. This does not meet our needs at the current time.
Yeah. So when you said this has not been accepted, you mean by the people that you've submitted it to, not to the patent office, because
the people didn't want to buy the product, buy the license.
And that, that's another thing that I see frequently on the boards where people are talking about, oh, just do this based on a provisional filing. And the problem is people on the boards tend not to really understand what a provisional does. And if you know this, I let me know. I don't want to be telling you stuff you already know.
Well, you might clarify it at the very least.
Yeah, a provisional. You use the term provisional patent, and to be a stickler, it's not a provisional patent. It's just a provisional patent application, because a provisional is never examined, and a provisional doesn't become a real patent. What a provisional does is it's crucially important to get an early filing date.
Yes.
Because for two reasons. In the United States, well, actually now everywhere around the world, the United States was late to this party. It used to be the case in the United States that patent rights went to the first person to invent.
Yes.
So even if you were late to file, if you could show that you were the first to invent and you were diligent in getting your application filed, you could still beat the other person.
Somebody patents something, and you can go in and say, hey, look, I can prove that I invented it before, I just didn't patent it, and then you get the patent thrown out.
Now everything is based on who filed first, and that goes back to the America Invents Act, which came into being in like 2012, 2013. There were different dates of not enactment, when different provisions came into force. But about 12 years ago. So now it's all based on who filed first. And so you want to have something on file first. It also, when you file, determines what can be used against you as the prior art against which your patentability of your application is assessed. So a provisional application lets you stake a claim to an early filing date.
Yeah, I mean, to put it simply, the provisional patent starts the patenting process and starts the clock. Then
Doesn't start the well. Depends what
yeah,
clock.
it starts. You can then say, okay, I started the patenting process here.
Sure.
So there's somebody else, files for a full patent or something. A couple months later, you can say, look, I've already started that, so
Yeah.
I had the prior patent.
As long as you file non-provisionally within a year, you
Right.
can claim priority back to your provisional.
Yes.
The clock that it doesn't start ticking is patent term. A patent will expire 20 years from the earliest claimed non-provisional filing date. So you don't start that term running.
Well, that's another advantage, I guess, because it lets you claim patent pending status without actually, putting that extra year of when it expires.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, basically, the value I see in it is that you file this provisional patent, and then that allows you to start going to trade shows or filing everything, and it stops this prior art, or what do you call it, public domain type thing from starting then.
Exactly.
And that's basically the reason for doing this with these places that I can send to, because that way I can send it to them, and I don't even need a non-disclosure because I'm not disclosing something that I haven't started the patenting on. That's basically the main reason for doing the patent.
The difficulty that you face, though, is these, in terms of the companies, until they see an act. The problem is you're disclosing the concept, but they don't know what you might claim, or not just what you would claim to start, but where the claims would end up at the end of the day through prosecution. And that's what really determines whether a company wants to take a license or not. It all depends on. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I always tell my inventors that if someone asks, are you patent pending? Yes, you're patent pending.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not any of their business, whether it's a provisional or non-provisional, you're patent pending.
Yeah.
Right. Then when we go to the show, all right, probably a third of the inventors have filed a provisional patent application. And yes, I understand that provisional patent application, because one of my early mentors raked everybody over the coals if they said provisional patent and didn't have application on the back end of it. So I learned early on from Frank that everything was that provisional patent application, and he explained why. And so then when we get an interested party, so they see the prototype and they played with it and they go, okay, now we're interested in licensing. Then the inventor hustles it up and files the non-provisional before anything is shared with the potential licensee. Because
the market has shown that there's the need. And that's the other great thing about the provisional. It gives you that year that you have between provisional and non-provisional filing, lets you test the market waters to see whether it's worth going forward.
Exactly. That's my reason for the provisional patent, to allow disclosure, to allow me to submit it to companies, to allow me to. Oops. Hold on a second here. I think I killed my video here. Yeah. I don't know what I did. Allow me to submit the playbook. Allow me to discuss it with other people, get feedback, things like that. So I think I pretty much understand the value of provisional patents.
Yeah.
They're very valuable for early stage. Like I said, I know that when we go to ASD Market Week in March, probably about a third of the inventors have got a provisional file. And they're going to get market research. They want to shake the hands. They want to be able to look the buyers right in the eye, understand the feedback. And part of it too is that, when they go and they're listening to the buyers, response to their product, sometimes they give them some really good suggestions that now they hustle it up and they're able to put that into the non-provisional file, and it's something they hadn't even thought about.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually I've read, discussions of advantages of doing it, and one of the things they say is it allows you to get feedback to maybe make improvements that you're not locked into the thing as you would be if you actually had filed for a full patent.
Yeah.
That raises something you need to be cautious about, though. In order to claim, if you draft the claims in your non-provisional, in order to get the earlier filing date, there has to be what we refer to as support,
right,
for the claims in the provisional application. In other words, if the provisional showed a fastener was a nail, and then in the non-provisional you had a screw, and you drafted claims that relied on the fastener being a screw, you would not be able to specifically.
You're screwed. So
no pun intended.
No, so yeah, that is where the magic language is, held together or something like, but not limited to.
That's where we use broader language, and that's the interesting thing. You could actually have a claim, the independent claim, that would refer to a fastener, and that would be supported, but the dependent claim would not be supported because it doesn't have support. But so what you want to be doing when you're filing a provisional application is, even though it's quote unquote just a provisional, you still want to be thinking broadly.
Right. Yeah, I understand. You want to make the patent as the provisional as broad and to some extent vague as possible, so that you can easily expand it. And as I understand it, you can have in your you can have a very broad independent claim, and then if you want to talk about a nail versus a screw, you put those in the dependent claims.
Generally, yes.
That allows you to discuss these specifics without limiting yourself, because your independent claim has been very broad.
Yeah, and the dependent claims, we put dependent claims in as fallback positions, so that if we can't get the claim, the broad independent claim, we've got other features that we might rely on to get something about it. It would be a little bit narrower scope of protection,
right,
but sometimes the narrower scope of protection is still commercially important.
Yeah. I think I've pretty much got that. Now, I've got to admit, I have never actually filed a full claim, and I don't generally I have licensed things, but I actually tend to rely more on basically trade secrets. I mean, like, I have licensed software, and it's just like, okay, I'm giving you this fully compiled running program, but I'm not telling you the source code. So that's my, and now it's possible to try to deconstruct it or something, but it's not easy, and frankly, it's easier for them to just pay me the royalties, Not to mention the fact that they presumably want to continue to do business with me and get other things from me and everything, and so I have, maybe that could be my subject. I
was just thinking that. It's like, okay, we have not talked about trade secrets. Let's do that one.
Yeah, I could talk about basically how to sell your inventions. I'm very good at selling inventions without spending much money. I mean, like I said, you rely on trade secrets. I mean, like I said, I had this software company. I'm now letting it lapse. I'm actually letting the website die because the company at this point is losing money. But I just take out a website and sell my software on the website myself. So anyway, I could do a talk on selling or marketing inventions very cheap by relying on trade secrets and everything, or just having such a niche market that it's unlikely that somebody else is going to come along and try to duplicate the thing. or something.
You know, we've got a gentleman out in California that we licensed his daughter's product, and it was basically a recipe. And she had early onset Parkinson's and had a feeding tube in high school, and had that, still does. I mean, she's graduated from college now, but she still has to have a feeding tube, and that reaction between the body fluids and the skin and the feeding tube causes a horrible rash. And so any person that's got an issue, medical issue, has to deal with this rash. And there was nothing out there like it. So when she went to college, she became a chemist. She goes, you know what, I can fix this myself. And then when she, you know, as she started getting into the process, she went and bought all these OTC powders. And she started mixing them together until she found the one that worked. Well, then when she asked one of our attorneys to do the intellectual property for her, you know, went through all the standard procedures and everything. He didn't write the recipe. He said, when you're putting things with these like compounds together in specific ratios, this is the reaction you get. Well, we ended up licensing the intellectual property for this powder to the company that makes the stomas that causes the rash.
Okay.
And now they sell it on Amazon. They sell it all over the world. But, you know, part of that was a trade secret in a way that, you know, the way the patent got written, it never revealed the exact products or the exact amounts.
Yes.
And the thing about trade secret, two main requirements. One is that it have actual value. I just went in and out of.
Oh, we lost you.
No, I shut
There you
the
go.
shutter. I went out of. I'm still going out of focus.
Like Bush's baked beans. Okay.
Yeah.
Their main US factory is just down the road from me. All right. But, you know, they don't give away any of their trade secrets, but they make an awesome can of baked beans.
But it also needs to be something that is in fact reasonably secret, that it can't be back engineered, and which is with ingredient kinds of quote unquote secrets. It, you know, they talk about the formula for Coca-Cola. Can't that be back engineered? Can't that be chemically analyzed to really come up with what is in it?
I've always thought about that. You certainly should be able to, at the very least, get a list of the ingredients in there. I mean, I've done, you know, chemical analysis where you're trying to determine, you know, what chemicals are in something, and you know, it can be a painstaking process because you're basically testing for each thing. And now getting the ratio might be a little harder, but you can at least identify, you know, the compounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. On the other side, I wouldn't want to be on the backside of the Coca-Cola family either. But
one second, I'm going to turn this camera off and back on to see if that clears it up.
You're not that badly out of focus.
Nah, you're okay.
Okay.
You know, the interesting thing with this company that we licensed the stoma powder to, they had their, I mean, that's one of the things that we know is going to happen is they're going to take the patent for a test ride. And so, you know, they had their patent attorneys review it and go through it. And they said, nope, we got this.
Yeah.
And so they, you know, they licensed it and they're off to the races. So
Very
we're
good.
happy for them. And it's like, you know, she's going to be dealing with this all of her life. Her father's getting older and he goes, I need to know that she's got an income.
Good for him.
So,
Good
yeah.
for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of, you know, we've learned, you know, the nuances, the values, and what makes a good intellectual property for licensing.
Yeah.
That's what I look at. And so do the different teams that I work with. You know, they want to review the intellectual property. They want to know that they can defend it if somebody, you know.
And there's different kinds of IP for different subject matter. And it's like, I'm looking behind David and I see all those different pliers, snippers, nippers, the tools on your wall.
Yeah.
It's much like IP, different tools for different things.
Yeah, I got lots of 3D printers.
I see
over there.
that too.
And I go over, I come up with I can show you my drawers and drawers of various electronic components. I've got the, you know, the little.
Well, when I look at your wall, David, it reminds me of the Christmas present that I ordered for myself from my husband.
Yeah.
It's a
By,
tool.
by the way, this one here is something I 3D printed myself.
Okay.
It's
Well,
a tool holder. And you know, I sell the file, you know, for people who want me. I've sold a couple of them, you know.
well, mine is a set of tools with pink handles.
Okay.
And I said, if any of these pink handles up in your toolbox, you are in trouble, mister.
I have, you know, I've got a tool chest out in the garage, and I pull open the drawer, and it's like, why do I have 30 different pliers here? Needle nose, and you know, some of the exact same thing. It's like I've got like 5 different pairs of wire strippers.
Well,
we accumulate them.
I had a tool drawer downstairs in the utility room and a tool drawer in the kitchen. They were mine. They were not my husband's. Leave my tools alone. You've got tool chests in the pump house, in the garage, you know, by your computer stand. You use yours, leave mine alone.
They're very personal.
Where did my, you know, Phillips head go? You know, where are my needle nose? And it's like, if it's got a pink handle, you don't get to touch it. Not anymore. I never, ever thought I would do that. Never.
That's
Until I went to get my Phillips head out of my kitchen drawer and it was gone.
Yeah, well, I don't happen to have anybody. I mean, the only person here is my girlfriend, who frankly is afraid to come in here or something. She said there's all this weird stuff in there, and I'm not going in there. She won't come in here to clean or anything.
Oh, shoot.
Good,
Well,
good.
when we were looking for this house out here, I wanted a view. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we got a view, and you've seen my view right before.
Where are you? Where are you?
I am. Well, you can't really see it there, but that is my backyard.
That's lovely backyard.
All right. That's the other direction. That is my backyard.
And where is that?
I am in Eastern Tennessee. That is the
Okay.
river that flooded with the hurricane a year ago. And we sat out on this deck and watched the houses float by.
Oh,
So I wanted a view, and my husband wanted a workbench in the garage for all of his computers. So when we came out here and he goes, we got the view. And I said, oh, honey, you ain't seen nothing yet. And he went out into the garage and he had this huge it was the whole length of the garage wall that went out and a big countertop on it. And he could put all of his computers out there and all of his stuff and all of his tools. And it's like, oh, we got this.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was funny. I got my view and he got his workbench and everybody's happy, except for the fact that my tools end up not in my drawer. So we are.
I guess you need duplicate tools. He's got to have his set, and you got to have your set.
That's right. That's right. So I love my certain ones.
Well, what do you use your tools for?
You know, I'm on the deck and something happens. We've got feeders all over the place. We live in the forest. I like the birds. You know, the fences, the dogs, just the basic, you know, stuff, everything. I've got screwdrivers and hammers and needle nose and Phillips head, flathead, you know, everything. And when all else fails, duct tape and zip ties.
Yeah.
So you use the tools for your own house repair?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just the nits and grits. I mean, you know, everything that goes on, but darn it. I want my screwdrivers where they're supposed to be.
Well, I think you need a couple of 3D printers and everything. So, because I use mine for home repair all the time. If something breaks, I just make the new part there.
Well,
And
there you
then
go.
I put the file up on the, you know, sell it, you know. So,
Well, you know, it's we have a good time out here. We do enjoy it, but it is amazing how many. I never ever thought when I had a friend ask me, she goes, "Are you on steroids?" And I go, "No, I'm not on steroids." She goes, "Do you take testosterone?" I said, "Oh my God, no." And she goes, "You are in such good shape. What do you take?" I said, "I take weed whacker." And she goes, "Can I get that in a powder?" And I said, "No, I went out and bought a weed whacker. I go out and whack down the weeds." And she goes, "Well, that doesn't sound like any fun at all." And I said, "No, but it does burn the calories like crazy." So yes, we have got a lot of outdoor activity here that we never had living in the condo. And we are very grateful that we get to go out and whack down those weeds.
yeah. Just, you know, doing things like mowing the lawn and everything is you know, great exercise there.
Oh, yeah. it's like, I like looking at it and knowing that I accomplished something. So
Yeah.
we've got an 800 horsepower weed blower that we, leaf blower that we go up to the top of the road. Our driveway is basically 2 miles long.
Wow.
And so we have got a lot of private work that we do to maintain that road and stuff. But it does keep us young and healthy.
Yeah.
And
It does look like we permanently lost that fourth member of our group there or something.
Stephanie, well, she's got my email and my phone number and everything. She may give me a call and ask for some information, which I'm happy to share with her. And I know that a lot of times out of, these meetings, when there's only, 4 or 5 of us or whatever, and we get a new inventor, they'll frequently get in touch with me and say, who was that guy? I need to talk to that other guy. And so I can make the introductions and stuff. So
I'm also surprised that we don't have that friend of mine that I introduced to the group.
Yeah.
We actually, this inventors group, we normally meet, we used to meet 8 o'clock every Thursday. And it was conflicting with this, so we moved it to Wednesday. And he was the one who wanted to move it to Wednesday so he could, be in this group. And I actually forwarded him your email. Incidentally, this time your email did not contain the direct link to this.
We have gone through and we've started redoing everything. So the email may have just had the meeting on it. It depends on which one you saw that went out.
Well,
We've got it now on inventorsroundtable.org. We've got both the links, and the links are always the same. So if you used a link, this time it'll be the same link next time. But
what I'm saying is that it used to be your emails would say, can you make, the Inventors Roundtable, and it would have the link, or at least if you said yes, you then got an email that had the link in it. This time the link goes to the Meetup page, and so that's one reason I was a little bit late, because I had to get onto the Meetup page and to do that rather than going directly from the email to here.
We wanted to make sure that the links were going in the right spot. So we went back and we spent, time going back and checking all of them. And then I had to go back and grab stuff. So I was deleting some of the spots that had links until I had them checked. And then I was getting down to, I needed to get this sent out. So we're getting stuff added back in. The inventorsroundtable.org has got all the correct links. The meetups have all the correct links. The MailChimp is where I had deleted some, and then I sent out the announcement. So it may not have been in there if you were seeing it on LinkedIn, but we're working on it, Dave.
Well, like I said, I used to just get the email that said something like, you are confirmed, for this meeting, and here's the link. And I'll go to that. And this time, and I had some trouble getting onto the Meetup. I had to go sign on or something. And
Yeah.
so anyway, it delayed me a couple of minutes to getting on here.
And that's why when, I got the information back, I think you got it from the calendar invite, and I may have forgotten to put the new one on there because I wanted to delete out anything, because people had been having trouble getting on, and that's why we went back and checked everything and deleted all of the old ones so we could put in, ones that we had specifically checked. And so that's why I think I might have missed putting it in there, and so you didn't see it, but you got in.
Yeah, I got it. It just took me a few extra minutes because I had trouble signing on to the Meetup or something. And, every once in a while it asks you to go through the whole sign-up process. Anyway, it just took me a few extra minutes. It wasn't a big deal. I'm just saying that reminding you that it's convenient to have the link in the actual email, inviting you to the thing.
Stephanie is back.
I don't see her.
She's coming. I just let her in. And maybe she's having trouble on her end. There you are.
Thank you. Yeah, my Wi-Fi went down. Sorry.
Oh, I understand. I every once in a while mine goes down too. So we're kind of wrapping things up. Stephanie, do you have my email and phone number?
You know what? Yes, I do.
All right. Well, you give me a call over the next couple of days. I'll answer any other questions. I try to wrap these up at about an hour.
Okay.
All right. But I'm happy to, send you a non-disclosure, non-compete so that you can tell me what you're working on.
Okay.
And kind of walk through those steps.
Yeah.
And David, it was because you had told me some of those links weren't working that we went back and checked them all. So we're getting those all sorted out and, going in the right direction. So I appreciate the heads up on that stuff. I like getting you on the radio for Trade Secrets. We'll do that in January. And Ken, it was very nice to meet you, and I look forward to
Thank
talking
you.
to you the next time.
Likewise.
All right.
Very good.
You've got my phone number and email, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
David or me?
You.
I got your email, not
All
your
right.
phone number. Oh, wait, no, the phone number was in the invite thing that was posted on the Facebook group.
Yeah, my phone number is everywhere. All right, so we're going to etch that on the side of my casket, and I'm taking it with me.
Basically, I think I could do a talk on how to very cheaply sell your inventions, all the ways that I have of, I mean, like I used to just invent something and I would just write an article about it and get maybe $400 or $500 or something, back, 30 years ago, just put it in Popular Electronics or something. And it would be something that only took me like a few days to develop.
I hate to tell you this, times have changed.
Yeah.
I know. I can no longer do it that way. Now I've got to write a whole book about it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, all right, guys, have a Merry Christmas, everyone. It was really nice to see all of you, and I look forward to hearing from you all again soon.
Great, take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Right.
Bye-bye.